Present Council Net. Present Council Seer. Present Council Barton, absent.
So the purpose of this meeting is more or less an update since our last conversation on the downtown central business district rezoning. So I'm going to just kind of run through the suggestions that we have here. Please stop me at any moment, including Mike Donovan. We also have Diane Chikumis, the Ward 5 councilor, who represents the entire central business district, who's been instrumental in this whole process, as well as AJ Capano, who's our unpaid intern, who's also very helpful, and obviously Jim Romano. Feel free to hop in at any point if there's anything legal concerns or business, inspection service concerns. So just to start off, the first part is dealing with use regulations. So essentially we took a look at a number of uses that, over time, through various studies, input from city officials, the business community, state officials, have deemed, things that we'd like to see in the downtown. So the first one's philanthropic institutions. Currently that requires a special permit. This was essentially a use designed for downtown. It could be used to promote the arts and cultural district. Essentially art galleries, museums, or similar uses. The next one up is a conference center. Just defined as essentially where conferences are held. We'd like to bring more business activity to downtown. I think conferences would help with some of the foot traffic down there. Fish market, it's just, I don't know why it was not incorporated originally, but people enjoy fish, they should be able to purchase it. Food service establishments, and this is for the restaurants. This was really the big one, a lot of concern expressed by the business community in particular, and I think it goes without saying that we want to have more restaurants in the downtown central business district, arts and culture district. So this was really the big ticket item here. Maybe even bigger is the research and development portion. Right now, there's currently not a lot of use. If you look at any of the surrounding communities around Boston and the need for R&D in terms of biotech, pharmaceuticals, or IT, I think we might not happen tomorrow, but we could encourage a business like that to come to Lynn. We'll talk a little bit later on about some safety provisions that we've included as well, just to make sure that the neighborhoods aren't being affected by the being used. But basically, this is just for research and development. It would not alter the character of the downtown. It could bring more businesses in. And I think last up for the suggested change to by right is a transit facility. Essentially, this is a facility that a bus station, train station, water shuttles aren't really applicable, but we want to encourage. There already is transit downtown, so we just need to codify this language. So I guess I'll pause there, take a breath, and I don't know if any concerns or if you just keep flying through the proposal. All right. So the next up, we're looking at some restrictions for the uses that we don't think necessarily fit in the downtown central business district. Most of these are automobile based, so we're looking at gasoline and oil filling stations, sales room of motor vehicles, which I don't anticipate that coming, but why not just clear it up. And then also banks with driving facilities. Trying to make a walkable downtown with the less traffic-based uses we have, I think the better. So any commentary on that? All right, we'll keep flying there. There was also a portion of this dealing with the retail and retail trade. We looked to the waterfront, which is the most recently rezoned area of the city, and some of the provisions they had there to encourage businesses to go up rather than out, to lessen the footprint of businesses. There was a footnote included. Footnote number 14 states that no single retail or retail trade use shall consist of more than 5,000 square feet in essentially every waterfront district. We thought that would be a good thing to include in downtown, just so that we have, smaller retail facilities and no big box stores that are going to take up too much of the footprint. Since sliding into the residential reuse overlay district, essentially this is what the council had done under Jim Cotto's leadership to allow for the reuse of downtown buildings for mixed-use residential by right. Obviously, we've seen some great changes in the last 10 years since that's been done. We'd like to just essentially make it the entire central business district. It was originally based off of a transit-oriented development type system where it would be within 1,500 feet of a train station, which is great, but really the whole central business district encompasses this, so why not apply what they have there? And it's going to take some work from the water department to combine the two into one. And additionally, there are a few properties that were left out that I think are key to the downtown. We look across the street from the commuter rail garage at Eastern Bank and that parcel there. Also where the current V&A is, or even across from City Hall where Ernest Harrison is. Those parcels were for some reason left out of the central business district. We'd like to incorporate that. There may be one other, the prime building is down. I don't know if that's technically a different parcel from the V&A, but that also was left out. I'd like to include that. Pete?
Could you just go over again, I think we did this last time, but I don't think I was clear exactly about what the boundaries are exactly.
I should have brought a map again. Mike, do you want to come up just in case I mess this up? You can help clarify. So, the question was the boundaries of the central business district. So essentially, I guess where Wheeler Street is, the blood building is not in. That's kind of that street going down there towards. It's like none of St. Mary's is in it, right?
No, it skirts around St. Mary's. It captures Agora Plaza, captures the bigger plaza between the State Street, State Street,
Yeah.
Plaza, and goes down, but then it cuts back in at the railroad tracks and then crosses Market Street.
So, with the bank, is that in it? Or
No, that's not a light industrial zone.
Okay, that's so anything across the street going that way, or Market Street over?
Except that the transit facility, the MTA garage, the prime building, V&A are in the light industrial district also.
Okay. And then, just in the other way,
So what was it, Silsby Street? I can just
Heading up
is Lewis Street part of the?
No, it doesn't make as far as Lewis Street, it goes up Broad Street for a bit, comes down Silsby Street, I believe, and it cuts across Union, and goes up to Baldwin, and then cuts in through some parcels, and comes back down, it changes the business to central business around there, and then it goes back down on this side of Esther Street, so the courthouse is
This
in,
side,
right,
this.
but the Sloan Building in Ernie's isn't in, and then it crosses Esther Street to include City Hall.
No, and I apologize for not bringing the map.
That's okay.
Talking about
No,
changing the map.
that's all right. That's all right. So, just one more. So, Exchange Street up to Broad Street, is that?
Definitely part of it,
The
yeah.
Hotel Edison also?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. All right.
So which bank is not included, not in the city banks are like a
The Eastern Bank, the main building right there is not
the
in,
big one.
yes.
Oh.
It used to be a telephone machine,
All right, that's right. Okay.
so it was never in the center.
Beautiful copy. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
So you can see, we're here at City Hall, and so this telephone building next to it is in, it shoots across, goes behind the Agora Plaza, down Tremont Street, pick to State, crosses all the way over, and then skirts by, here's the prime building, here's the main building, here's the prime building, here's the MBTA garage, and here's the Essex Bank.
Eastern Bank.
Eastern Bank, I'm sorry. So those are light industrial and they were left out. But the community college is in, and then the properties that front along Broad Street are still in. And we get to Silsby Street, it also encompasses the parcels on Silsby Street, and you can kind of see it meanders along the back of property lines.
Okay.
Like
All right.
Here's one of these in International.
The Walgreens is, yes, it's. Yep, Joyce Street right there.
And I will just say, I should have said this at the beginning, any of the current businesses that are there, in the they're grandfathered, so they don't have to change. So we're not going to be, kicking Walgreens out or any other. The current uses. Any other questions on, I guess, the zone, the map changes? The other really big piece that our proposal would have is allowing the residential reuse overlay district characteristics to apply for new development, which, talking to Jim Cowell, was just something at the time that they were focused on rehabbing some of the old buildings and getting those into use, with most of those at this point being used, the opportunity for, if we wanted to build on a vacant parcel of land or a structure we wanted to demolish. Yeah.
How about the Hess gas station? Is it in?
Hess is in it,
So is that grandfather?
unfortunately it is.
Yes, okay.
So for the new development, it would be, obviously really big for any vacant parcels we have down there, to allow that mixed use by right. So next, moving on to the dimension regulations, again, if you can stop me issue. So looking at the height of buildings, this is obviously, a concern to potentially alter the character of the downtown, but a lot of good input from residents, the business community, and councilors on the ordinance committee. We've created a minimum tree height, three stories, 36 feet, which is the same as the waterfront zones. But currently, the idea again that we shouldn't have single-story structures in our central business district. We're trying to encourage people to go out and make the most of the available space downtown. Additionally, it speaks well to the mixed-use component, which is allowed by right to have the residential on top of the commercial first floor. We also had taken a look at the maximum height allowed. Right now, it's only 5 stories, considerably low for downtown. The suggestion is, and I'm sure this is up for debate, is to change that maximum height to 10 stories and 120 feet. Right now, there are buildings down there that exceed the allowable 5 stories, upwards of, I believe, 8 and 9. I'm not sure if it gets to 10. But, I think, again, going up, there's the ability to go up higher. We said density is a great thing. We checked in at the request of city councilors and with the fire department to make sure that, the height of the building, as you get higher, obviously the danger to the fire department and those people going inside the building increases. But I was assured by the chief that the state fire code mandates certain additional safeguards to be put in place as you go higher once you reach a certain threshold of stories, so he did not have concern with that. I also consulted with the chief in terms of all these, the chief of police, and he felt comfortable with the plan as we see it before us. But again, all for discussion. Also, we took a look at the frontage. Right now, there's a minimum 50-foot frontage requirement in the downtown. Really, all the studies that we've done in our downtown and just general best practices right now. You're trying to maximize the density, and having this frontage requirement doesn't seem necessary. Jim, sorry.
And Mike Donovan brought this up to me earlier. There's a difference between frontage and front setback.
Okay.
So frontage is how many feet is the building, residential, I think it's 75 feet for residential. I think what you're referring to is the setback.
Okay.
You want the setback to be 0. By state law, the frontage has to be 50 feet.
20
feet.
So the minimum frontage by state law is 20 feet. There is no minimum front yard setback, but the minimum frontage of the state.
Could you, I guess, explain to me again what frontage is?
Frontage is the length of your property line running parallel to the street.
From the top of the
As opposed to how far
How far
back.
back the building is from the street. So at a minimum, each lot has to have 20 feet of frontage. The state sets that number. But setback, your front yard setback, the state doesn't.
Okay, so we would want to deal with the setback. Is there a requirement right now for a setback for the?
Yes, there is, because it varies depending on where you are and who's next to you.
Per our ordinance, not state law.
Yes.
So we should leave the frontage alone.
You could reduce have no frontage requirement, or have 20, and that way people, if they want to be creative and design the buildings, right, they have an option.
Okay.
But your front yard, I believe, is what you're trying to express, and you can set that, mandate that to be 0.
Thank you for that clarification. So, do the councilors have an issue with changing the wording, we're focusing on the setback rather than the frontage. I mean, the general idea, semantic side is that we want the buildings to abut the sidewalk, creating that.
I believe that's the case in the Washington Street corridor, that the goal was more of a Newburyport
Yeah.
property line, the building right at the property line, so you walk from the sidewalk right into the store or whatever was there. So that's similar to what we have in the Washington Street corridor.
All right, beautiful. So that kind of speaks to the, I guess, the next section here, which was dealing with the parking lots. Business did not have, not allow parking lots in the front, which would that be satisfied if we, well, so we have to have the restriction, I guess, put in place. Is that right?
Yes, you do not want any parking lots allowed in the front of the building. But they would only, if they have a parking lot, it would be to the rear of the building, not in front.
Yeah.
Right now, it's prohibited for an apartment building, but for anybody else, any other use could put a parking lot in front of the building.
When you say parking, you say parking lot with multiple cars, not just parking spaces, right?
No, we're talking about on your property, a parking lot in your front yard. Between
So not on the street parking, just property that's, even just the parking that's on the front. So like if there's a spot on the front, that would not be affected by it. Council Sam.
Mike, if someone comes along, they want to build, so they have 100 feet of frontage on a street. They want to put 2 retail spots and put 50 apartments up above it. They have to provide parking for those 50 apartments in the rear as well as for the retail space on the bottom.
Currently, there are no parking requirements in the central business district. They were eliminated in 2003. The only parking requirement in the central business district is for a dwelling that has 3 or more bedrooms. And then it's mandated 1 space for every bedroom. So there have not been parking requirements downtown for 11 years now.
So if we would, allow all the changes, and somebody came along and wanted to build, say, 2-bedroom apartments, 50 of them, that's 100 more people coming into the downtown area without parking. Granted, a lot of the people that would be coming into the area hopefully would be using the T because we're trying to attract people coming in from Boston. But what do we do about, say, 25% of those people bring cars? Where do we put them?
It's essentially what's happened since the ordinance was changed in 2003.
Yeah.
All those lofts downtown didn't have any requirements of parking spaces. They've had to find either they've been dealing with the Off-Street Parking Commission, they've been dealing with the parking garage, and that was the whole impetus really of that 1,500 feet is how far is somebody willing to walk? And that's what it came down to. But when you look at here, the 1,500 feet, when you map it out, only leaves half a dozen lots outside in the central business district. So there really hasn't been a problem. I know during snow emergencies, there are issues with parking, but usually people find a spot to go in the downtown. And my recollection is downtown, in a snow emergency, doesn't have as many problems with parking because the people are more attuned because they know they're preparing better for it, exactly. It's been more in the highlands and down in some of the beach areas where there's more apartment buildings and less off-street parking. It's been 11 years now and we really haven't had a major issue.
I mean, I hope that over time, as we are discussing this involvement, work to the Off-Street Parking Commission to, the structure, all the parking garage structure has been discussed in the past. If there is a demand, we can take that demand with a centralized parking. Again, just to cover the density, and not have too many parking lots there. But I mean, obviously, this is always open to change, so. Should I go on to the new and change definition? Do you want to continue with the parking stuff, or do you want to go to the?
I just think that we need to take a real close look at that.
Yeah.
You're trying to bring more people into the downtown area, not only to shop, but also to live.
Yeah.
So I know Zep lives down there, and I know that there's been talks going on, and that they've had concerns down there. So couple of boards or something down there? I mean, how do you feel about, say, if you bring in another 100 or so people to
Well,
live there?
our efforts have centered more around signage, crosswalks, and how the current spaces are managed, rather than we haven't been asking for additional spaces. Really, there's a lot of improvements that have to be made in signage and some of the ways that the lots are managed. Could it potentially be an issue? Yeah, but we have it a lot easier right now than other mixed-use downtowns. I don't think the parking crunch in Davis Square, Somerville, has really hurt Davis Square very much. People still try to go there, regardless of how difficult it is, and that's one of the things that amazes me. But I think if we have the right mix of businesses and enough activity down here, people are still going to come. And with better signage and better management of our existing parking assets, I think it'll get a lot better.
So he's definitely open to amendments for doing the initial drafting, we just wrote this, So the next couple things are dealing with some change definitions. So we tried to keep the new definitions and change definitions to a minimal, because the way that our zoning ordinance is set up, if we were to change the definition, it would affect every district throughout the city, where we're just focusing on the central business district. We wanted to minimize that. A few of the newer uses, microbreweries and brew pub, the language is really composed of some national standards for how much production is allowed. So these are really the smaller scale. These aren't even at the craft brew level. So this is if you were to make a certain amount on site and allow a certain percentage to be sold to patrons. So we're really trying to encourage a microbrewer or brew pub to come down and service beer, I guess. Additionally, fitness center is it may be defined through some of the other language in there, but we wanted to just clarify that it is an existing use. I mean, it is a use by right, and we want to encourage type of amenity for our residents down there. Really, I think that Lynn only has, I think the YMCA, maybe, I don't know if the Populous thing describes that down there. There aren't many, I think there must be a demand for it. Looking at other communities where there are several, so allowing that by right could encourage that. And then there's some really good suggestions by Council Sear and other folks to take a look at putting in safeguards for the research and development end of things. And we've taken a look at some other communities, come up with some language that would prohibit anything that could take away from the safety or quality of life in the downtown. So just real quickly, I'll fly through the language here. It's allowed as long as it's not dangerous by reason of hazard from fire or explosion, not offensive, detrimental, injurious, noxious or hazardous by reason of causing dust, smoke, odor, fumes, radiation, groundwater discharge, noise, vibration, traffic congestion, or other nuisance, and are compatible with adjacent ground pressure uses. So this would give the Director of Inspectional Services and other folks an ability to protect the neighborhood if a research and development business were to come in and do some things that we want to see. Again, open to changing the language. This was just something we stole from other community. But we appreciate the suggestions to put safeguards in there, so we're not just opening this up to any business that can lead to the more unsafe uses of chemicals. So that's kind of the gist of the proposal. I guess what I'd like to do tonight would be to ask or to have a council order instructing the law department to put this into language, create an ordinance out of our proposals. At which point, I don't know how quickly that can be done, Jim, in 2 weeks.
I certainly would in 2 weeks, but I have to work in conjunction with IST for a map. We have a residential overlay, so a map has to be prepared before we advertise, so that has to be ready the day.
Okay.
So
I guess as quickly as
As
possible, with the aim being that in our next meeting here, we can set down for a public hearing with the new map and new language, have it go out, and then 2 weeks after that, have the council
The next meeting is next week, Scott, not.
Oh, it's next week. Council Seer.
Thanks. I propose not to have a public hearing because he's got to draft the language. Then we should take a look at the language just to make sure and have other members of, the business partnership and anybody come in and take a look at it.
Okay.
Only because, if we have a public hearing here, we're sending it out for a public hearing out there and we start changing everything.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was.
So,
That motion, I'd like to second that.
I'd second that.
And a reminder, the planning board has to give its recommendations for a zoning board. We have to coordinate with them. They're always very cooperative. They have a meeting at 6, the same night you folks have at 7. but they-
Same night as well. So we could, at Council Seer's suggestion, bring in some other folks, review the language, set it down for a public hearing, and then planning board take a look at it.
As long as before the vote, the planning board makes some recommendation.
Okay.
Well, thanks. I'm saying we take a look at it, and before we have the public hearing, to make sure that we're all.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
good.
saying.
Tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I think that makes sense.
Take a look at it, because then we set it down for, but again, that's voted at the time.
I think, that's a good idea, because we set out to do something, and by the time we're all done with it, we need to go back, talk to the people that, started at the beginning, so it's just what we're trying to do. See if what we have matches what we intended to do when we started out, so, I think that makes sense. It's been very thorough.
All those in favor for Council Seer's motion? Just real quickly before we wrap up, I do want to recognize Francis Martinez from the North Shore Latino Business Association, who's been helpful with this, but also Chris Bibby from the North Shore Chamber of Commerce, and Seth as a resident. Always waiting on these issues, so thank you all for your participation. Motion to adjourn?
Before we adjourn, I just want to say that, real quick, Brennan's been working extremely hard on this. I can appreciate how quickly he's trying to do this, really.
No.
And I know Chris is I think you're doing a good job. I think it makes sense a lot of the things that you do. So, I'm not trying to be.
Oh, no.
Fun.
Get your new one.